Successful people do what unsuccessful people are just flat out not willing to do. So are you willing to participate in this February Fill Challenge when we're trying to ask each of you to do what you possibly can to fill your bucket? This bucket is a technical bucket, tactical, physical, psychological. It's a bucket that will be a myriad of different things that will help you achieve great things as we all get back on the spring fields. I know it's snowing now, but there's a lot of time here between now and when those snow-filled fields are receding, and then there's going to be opportunity for us to get out there and actually play. So in order for you to hit the ground running this April outside, I hope you really are excited and prepared for what we have in store for you. If you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So none of these things that I'm going to encourage you to consider are completely outlandish and or are impossible, but they are challenging, and I think if you accept the challenges throughout this whole month of February, I really do believe come March, you look back on this month with a great deal of pride. So I challenge you to fill this bucket. Everyone has to start somewhere, and for you, each of you, you're going to start with an empty bucket. The objective here is to fill this bucket with as many balls as you possibly can. We're going to fill the bucket based on all of the efforts you put forth in various capacities over the course of the shortened February month. So it starts just like this. I have a ball in my hand. If I go out today and I go and play 10 minutes, 15 minutes of wall ball, I'm going to start to fill my bucket. First thing you can do, you are a part of our team. You are a valued member of our team. When you're not at practice, we miss you. We are accountable to you, and hopefully you're feeling that you are accountable to us as a really important piece of our puzzle, which is to put out the most strongest and dedicated team, most competitive team we possibly can have. In order for that to be the case, we value you, you should value us. Come to practice. We had a player a few months back and said, I can't really come to practice, that's when I sleep. I sleep in on Sunday mornings and I can't come. And that player decided probably it's not the best choice for her to come play with us because she didn't have that sort of commitment. The times, the locations of practices may not be perfect, but if you want to succeed, you will find a way. So number one, first thing you can do is to attend practices. So I'm going to take a ball. I get the ball, put it up here. I intended to practice last Sunday, drop it in the bucket. The physical part of our game is incredibly telling. When you watch a team play and you see a player just sprint past everybody else, it's not lost on the other team, it's not lost on your teammates. If you're in high school, it's not lost on college coaches. You can improve various aspects of your physicality. And as young women aspiring to be empowered women, we can enhance our strength by conditioning. And strength and conditioning coaches are out there. You certainly can find a myriad of different resources on the internet, doing various HIIT routines, making a plan for you, what works best for you. You certainly can go ahead and do 2 to 3 times a week at a local gym, a local CrossFit. Be resourceful. Near your house, you might have a Compete or a Mike Boyles nearby, an Excel, a program that strives in strength and conditioning and can be sport specific to girls lacrosse. This will hammer home all these different levels of strength and conditioning, from balance to agility to speed, perceptual awareness, reaction time, coordination, power. All of these different skill sets that are essential to our game, you can use these and work on these as part of a conditioning program. If you don't want to go to one of these types of programs, then you can be resourceful by going online and finding a ton of different HIIT programs and a ton of different conditioning that will make you a better player. I know some of us like to go on and you love to do like yoga by Adriene, and that's really nice, and you like to do a very small, you want to work your abs a little bit, and that's kind of nice. We're not really trying to look great at the beach necessarily. We're trying to really out hustle and beat someone for a ground ball. We're trying to out shoulder somebody as a 50-50 ball is play right there in front of us. So while it might be nice benefit to look great throughout the whole program, it's not really about that. It's about trying to put yourself in the best position to succeed, and doing so can be achieved through strength and conditioning. If you make strength and conditioning a priority, go out tomorrow, go for a run, go out the next day, do a HIIT program. Maybe you go ahead and you see your strength coach, whatever it is, you go ahead over, you take the ball, and again, you put it in the bucket. Nutrition is something that nobody can overlook, and we get away with it when we're younger. But when we're trying to actually find every last bit of edge over our opponents, we really have to think about what we're putting into our bodies. Our bodies are our engines, and the fuel and hydration we put into them couldn't be more important. And I know Twinkies are so good, and they give you that instant energy. Problem is that you come down from that fairly quickly because it's packed with sugar. So in terms of nutrition and how you can sort of fill your bucket this February, consider replacing the Twinkie for an apple, replacing the Devil Dog for a banana. Just think about when you're going into that refrigerator and into the pantry and into the soda cabinet that you might have, consider what can you do to replace it. We're not asking you to be on an entire diet necessarily. It's more of, instead of grabbing your soda, let's grab some water instead. So just think about this. Think about reducing your sugar, and let's think about doing so both with your hydration and the food you put into your body. And you should feel good about yourself at the end of the day when you have been able to substitute. And so for that, you go over, you get your ball, you take it, drop it in the bucket. If you really want to get better at anything that you do in life, you know you have to put the time in. You have to. You can't wish that you're better, pray that you're better. You can't just hang out with other people who are better in hopes that that just sort of spills off and over to you. It just doesn't work that way. Yes, put yourself around empowered, influential people who do things the right way. That's going to help you certainly, but you're going to have to actually do it yourself. And when you do attend practices, that's great. But truthfully, the practices are there to bring everybody together and showcase what you've been doing in the days that we haven't seen you. So individual trainings are essential. The Bullets have already encouraged each one of our players to build your backyard. We've had a really good winter so far. The snow has not really crippled us. We've been able to get outside. What does your backyard look like? What does the space with which you train and designate as a training space, what does it look like? I'm hoping you found a way to find a wall. I'm hoping you've got an opportunity to shoot at something in your backyard or in your basement or somewhere. But don't just use an excuse, I just don't have it, I don't have a wall, I don't have a goal. There's other ways you can be resourceful to create opportunities for yourself. Don't use excuses. Don't look at these obstacles as barriers. Think of obstacles as what they are, which are opportunities to get better. So when you think about training, it's not about your mother or your dad, your guardian, kicking you off the couch and making you go outside. It's not going to work that way. It's just flat out not going to. So you're going to have to really think about what's important to you. And if this sport and competing at the highest level possible is important to you, the only way, truthfully, to exceed whatever expectations you have for yourself is to get out there and to put in the work. So I do challenge you to go out there, hit the wall. I challenge you to set up cones. I challenge you to deke one way and finish with some kind of a dodge. I challenge you to repeat, 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 and more repetitions will help you literally feel like you're taking that skill and you're owning it. and we know that it is important through repetitions as the only way that you're able to feel like you have acquired a skill. You go out there and do that today, go head over, get the ball, put it in the bucket. You might have a ton of other things going on in your life that would be understandable, but again, remember, we are in this pandemic, and this pandemic is probably going to give you a little bit more time. So truthfully, if you really want to get better, the best way to sort of do that is take advantage of the opportunities that you have in front of you. So right now, I am presenting to you a February fill. It's one of our team challenges. I have done this quite a bit. Our leadership team has worked really hard to create lots of challenges. Most all of them are done virtually, remotely, independently. So there's really no excuse to not participate. So if you want to get better, please consider fill your bucket by participating in these challenges. You do this, put the ball in the bucket. We know that currently the college coaches, some of them, depending on division, they're somewhat hamstrung as to what they can offer in terms of bringing student athletes, prospective student athletes, out onto their campuses. So there are some schools that are allowed to do this. There are some that have decided we're not going to hold in-person clinics. Instead, let's just hold them virtually. Now, I understand completely that the virtual clinics are not the same as the in-person. But again, you take the best with what you have and you just take advantage of the opportunities. So if it's a virtual clinic, an in-person clinic, you can maneuver your schedule to be able to be present for those. I think there's weight in it. I think there's value in it. So again, get out there, figure it out, get on the internet, figure out which one makes sense for you, sign yourself up, go do a virtual clinic and use it to fill your bucket. In the same vein, we do know that the summer camp options might look a little different in summer of 2021. My gut is telling me there'll be probably a little bit less overnight and a little bit more day type of options for camps and for clinics. But again, it is nearly February. Get yourself on the computer and figure out what schools do I want to kind of get in front of. If you're not in high school yet, what schools would you like to sort of go out there and just work hard doing a camp or a clinic and get yourself registered for that? Oftentimes, some of these things will fill up fairly quickly, so do your research now and figure out what you want to do in terms of shaping your summer calendar with some lacrosse. You go ahead and do that, register for a summer camp or clinic, fill your bucket. For our student athletes, those that are in high school currently, or even aspiring or rising, so our 25s and up, this summer is going to be the first time you can start to think about participating in showcases. Now, these are not typically with your Bullets team. They are just independent. You sign up, you jump onto the tryout or to the showcase, and you just do the best that you possibly can. I love and advocate for these because it provides you a sense of autonomy, independence. It also gives you a chance to be competitive with kids that maybe you don't necessarily know, and are you able to assert yourself when you're in a crowd of people that maybe you're not all that familiar with. It's nice to be able to mix this in along with the myriad of other things that you're doing for your development. So I have recently posted information about the Brine and Under Armour and the American Selects. There's different things that will come up. You can just look through that stuff, look to see if it's going to fit into your schedule, register for it, and anytime we do have these, we'll always circle back and give you some of those helpful hints that you're going to need as you embark on what can be a very, very pressuresome and challenging environment. But all the same, if you go ahead out, register, and complete one of these showcases, it's something else you can do by putting that ball in your bucket. One of the best learning tools you can ever use is video. So we're hoping that you are able to improve your lacrosse IQ by watching video. Going on Huddle, checking out videos that we've posted. Going on the internet, checking out college game film. U.S. national team game film, watching these players play at the highest level and figuring out what they do well and maybe what some of their shortcomings were. How are they able to fix that? And so learn the game by watching. We don't have the luxury of turning on the local stations and being able to turn on ESPN at 7 o'clock at night and catching a women's lacrosse game. We really don't have the opportunities to see it a lot. It's not in our face, so we're going to have to go out there and grab it. So if you want to increase your lacrosse IQ, knowledge of the game, go ahead and watch some video, and when you do, grab a ball, put it in your bucket. Video obviously helps out a ton, we just mentioned that already, but in addition to that, it's incredible to watch yourself in action. Part of this February fill has a lot to do with you creating your own highlight video. Now, our prospective student high school athletes, you might use this video to share with college coaches. It's always just great to have in case everyone or anyone at any time asks you for it, but there's always a huge benefit and value for you to create your own highlight videos for you and your personal assessment and development. If you're out there in your backyard or you're shooting around with your friends, have somebody film you. Create the video on tons of different opportunities you see on the internet, your iMovie, any Vimeo. There's lots of different ways to create your videos, and then you literally are able to go back, watch it, and you can see, it can be telling. How does my left hand, my left arm, how does the shot come out of the stick? How does the left compare to my right? I can see it visually when I'm actually able to sit back and watch myself. So please consider making this video as part of the February fill so that you can actually learn from it, both developmentally as well as to use to showcase your talents. Evaluation is critical, and if you have the opportunity, which you should, to use video, I highly encourage you doing so. When you do, you make your video, drop a ball in the bucket. If you really do set a really high bar with this February fill, and you are attending all practices, and you're attending clinics, and you're researching, and you're doing our strength and conditioning, and you're working on different areas of your game that you have identified as in need. If you do all of these things along with eating correctly, drinking a ton of water, and really putting a lot of effort into all of this, you are going to be asked to consider your recovery and what you do to give your body some rest. So think about recovery as a necessity. Sometimes it's okay to take some time away. And if you do that, think about some of the best practices that you can do to help with your cardiovascular recovery, your muscular recovery, and just in general, overall wear and tear of your body. So think about yoga, think about small, easy body weight exercises, static stretching, dynamic stretching, and all of this can help really decrease soreness, decrease ability of your muscles to tear. And anytime you do a workout in general, you should always be warming up and certainly cooling down. So if you do that, warm up or cool down, do a yoga, maybe you're just doing a nice solid 20-minute of flexibility routine, whatever you do, use it and put that right in the bucket. Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people ever get is to take a bite out of you. That's Zig Ziglar saying, that's a quote directly from him, and I think it's a great way and reminder to make you understand that when you are outside and it's 4 degrees and you're shoveling snow at 6 a.m. and you're doing strength and conditioning when the rest of your family is watching a movie, you might endure criticism. Like, that's so dumb. Why are you doing that? That's so crazy. Well, I will tell you right now, if it's crazy and seems like it's a little bit over the top, it probably is, but it's also necessary. And so when you do things that are different, that are probably putting yourself out there for ridicule, it just means that you're being an empowered young woman, someone who is okay to be assertive. It's okay to actually take people's criticism. When you do that, you should feel empowered by that, and you should certainly understand that you can grab that ball and put it in the bucket. Because there are going to be things that people will criticize you for. At the end of the day, the only person that you care about and the views that they have is yourself. So please, we're behind you on this February, Phil. We hope you really see that you have so much untapped potential, and I hope at the end of February, you really do see an absolute